This world's a little crazy, just look around and see. But I believe someone is watching over you and me, because I know he loves his children and he's Lord of everything. So I'll sing this song for him. God bless the RSA. Victoria down to Cape Town, from sea to shining sea. There's a whole lot of good in the things I've seen, and I got hope and I got faith. I get a little bit more each day. God bless the RSA. My friends love this country, it's so easy to see. They're grounded in this dirt by love and family, and they're dreaming of a future where they are safe and free. So I'll sing this song for them. God bless the RSA. Victoria down to Cape Town, from sea to shining sea. There's a whole lot of good in the things I've seen, and I got hope and I got faith. I get a little bit more each day. God bless the RSA. I know there are good people all across this land, given a chance, take each other's hand and rise up like a rainbow, reaching for a brighter day. God bless the RSA. Victoria down to Cape Town, from sea to shining sea. There's a whole lot of good in the things I've seen, and I got hope and I got faith. I get a little bit more each day. God bless the RSA. God bless the RSA.
Folks, welcome back to Dub Actor. This is Chris once again. December 13th, 2023, just days away from Christmas, folks. Now, really coming fast. That mustache is not playing nice over there. There we go. Just days away from Christmas. Can you all hear me? I had a little microphone issue here a moment ago. Can I get a thumbs up from people if they can tell me if they can hear me? It looks like the sound is going out, but just a moment ago I had some issues with my microphone, and I think we're good. Just a thumbs up or a 5x5 from anyone out there in the audience. Let me know that you can hear it. Otherwise, I got to go listen myself. Let's see if I can hear it. I don't want these ads. I've already heard the ads. So, okay, you can hear it. All right, good deal. Good deal. All right, we're there. All right. Thank you very much, Dylan. Appreciate that. Welcome back to the program, folks. Wednesday, it's hump day, middle of the week. And lots of things to talk about as usual. Wearing a different thing today, not rugby, but actually my alma mater, the Ohio University Bobcats. Why does the camera look so crooked? There we go. Stand like that. Then it looks straight. Maybe I'm standing crooked. Who knows? All right. Thanks, Nick. And Annette as well. So, yeah. Let's get to it, folks. Boy, it looks kind of bright in here, doesn't it? Let me tone down the light a little bit there and see if it's better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. It was overly bright in here. So that makes it a little bit better. Welcome back, Snowman behind me there. Christmas approaching. Challenge Cup, Champions Cup coming up again this weekend. Stormers regretting their decision to go with a C team instead of at least a B team. But then, of course, they choked away that game by choosing to go overly arrogant for a scrum late in the game when they should have gone for the lineout. But anyway, neither here nor there. It means basically they will not make it in the Champions Cup playing like that. This week they play La Rochelle, and they're going to wind up most likely 0-2 in the Champions Cup, which will be kind of depressing for Stormers fans like myself. But welcome back to the program. Let me say hello to everybody who's here, and we'll get to the news shortly. That was, of course, Dean Chancey, the singing Texan with God Bless the RSA. Val Cooper's here. Garrett's here. Courtney's in. Courtney, I thought you'd be putting mail in the boxes or out as a letter carrier delivering them right now. Still going through training, perhaps. And then we've got Brian Lawrenson. Paulie, the brains behind the operation, or so he claims. So he claims. But he doesn't show up when we have actual fires to report on. What's going on there? He must have been putting one out himself. Even though I don't care for country music songs. Yeah, it does have a very positive vibe. It does, Courtney. And I'm not a country music fan either. Annette Kolb is here. And Allison Johnson gave me the day off. It's been insane. Well, yeah, I'm surprised anybody gets a day off during the Christmas season. It is quite busy for all package delivery services and letter carriers, the U.S. Postal Service, DHL, UPS, the list goes on and on. All these companies very busy at this time of year. Sharks and Cheetahs can't wait. Yeah, I know. I want to see the Cheetahs win, but I'm pretty sure the Sharks are going to pull that one off. So got to make my picks in Super Brew, and what a disaster Super Brew was last weekend in the Challenge Cup. In the Challenge Cup, I got the wooden spoon. Came out middle of the pack in the Champions Cup, though. Oh, it's a shame you can't get to Bloemfontein. They don't want to burn you out and chase you away. Smart move. And people are always warning about healthcare and, you know, why healthcare is so screwed up and why it's so expensive in America. Let me give you an example here. All right. So I went to see a podiatrist, something to do with my foot. It's been a regular thing, a recurring thing, and the podiatrist has been providing treatment. And nothing serious, but still, I can't do it myself, so they send me there. It's a referral, so it's outside the military installation, so I have to pay my copay. So I spent literally less than 5 minutes with a physician. He spent less than 5 minutes dictating his audio notes into a computer. So less than 10 minutes, and this is what the bill was. $70 is what the podiatrist business, his practice, billed the insurance provider. Now, before I leave there, I have to pay. That's the way they do business. So I paid $36 of that. Basically, over half was my copay for the visit. The insurance company provided by the military says that the maximum allowable for this service is $40.99. So, conveniently, the insurance company paid $5. $4.99. That's what my insurance covered. $4.99. I paid $36. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but for 5 minutes, I'd love to make $36 for 5 minutes or $70 for 5 minutes. So that $36 in Rand, of course, is going to be a little bit higher than that. That's going to be 684, 700 Rand for 5 minutes of his time. And you wonder why healthcare is broken. It's because of the insurance scam, and that's part of it right there. And that is from the Free State. Nick got the other wooden spoon. That's what you were talking about. I'd like to understand how you can get a wooden spoon. I didn't see you at the bottom of the Champions Cup. I didn't look that low down on the roster. I was watching myself and Matt Canale, who's always challenging me for the lead. But hey, after 7 weeks of URC action, I remain atop the URC barely by a quarter of a point. I've got to have a big breakout next time that they reconvene in January so that I can get some space between Matt, the scientist, and myself. Yeah, anyway. Be shamed. It'd be like the American USA Sevens team a few years ago in 2018, 2019. They led the entire season, went to every semifinal 10 times. No one's ever accomplished that. Not the Blitzbach, not New Zealand, nobody. 10 times they went to the semifinal, and they were in first place throughout the season on points, only to lose the final because they came in like sixth, and Fiji won it, and Fiji won the season. USA came in second, so... Walking 10 miles a day, much better shape. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's time for me to get out and walk again, too. And not having a Fitbit can no longer be an excuse. My hip can no longer be an excuse. It's time for me to hit the road. This isn't a January, resolution that I'm going to exercise and be fitter. I was, once again, shocked into action again today as a consequence of the passing of Hollywood actor, television performer Andre Braugher, who at just the age of 61 has passed away. A bit of a shock there. We recently saw Lance Reddick pass away, another noted actor, two of my favorite actors. By the way, for the hate wankers, they're black, in case you didn't notice that. 1,000 Rand for consultation. That's crazy. Yep. What is SS? I don't know what that means. I don't know what Courtney's saying there. He deleted it. Excuse me, folks. Whatever this chess thing is, I've got it. So I suppose maybe the CDC's fear porn is working. Anyway, welcome back. It is just 12 days before Christmas. There we go. 12 days to Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody out there. And Hanukkah's pretty much close to being over there, so congratulations. Jacques Smith, welcome again for your membership. Thank you, Jacques. Wow. We got that Statue of Liberty, which means you've had that for a while. Well, I know what Schutzenstaffel means. Yeah, but I'm not sure why he was putting SS in there. It wasn't relevant. Hey, Jacques. The ass exercise is a huge part of the job, but strangely enough, a lot of letter carriers are not fit. So it's more than just the walking. You've got to do other things too. So you've got to eat properly. But yeah, let's get back to things. Hey, let me take a look at my solar here and see what's going on. It's not so great. The sun has been out, but it is early. It really doesn't start in the wintertime generating real power until after 11 a.m. and it's 10:30 now, 10:44. Yesterday was the biggest day of the month, man. I had 21.8. Yeah, is it 21.8? Let me see. 21.8 kilowatt hours yesterday. It's the best day of the month. That's pretty awesome. So, yeah, today it's on the same path it was yesterday, where it just starts climbing as the sun comes and it reaches the peak. And then because it's wintertime, it stays up there and then it drops off as the sun goes down very quickly. Kind of like a southern hemisphere, South Africa, Botswana sunset, where the sun is up and 10 minutes later it's dark. That's not the norm here in the northern hemisphere, but it is the case in the winter time at this latitude. All right. So, Annette says for laparoscopic last year, 40,000. Ouch, 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 ouch. That's crazy. Nick has got to reboot. Sorry to hear that, Nick. It's maybe because you got the wooden spoon. Your computer is betraying you. Learning mail after sundown is a huge challenge, especially for a new guy. Yeah, because you don't know the routes, you don't know the streets, you don't know where the mailboxes are. You're discovering everything for the first time, so it's a challenge, especially if they switch you around on routes when you start. Wow, John is almost 68. I had no idea, John. No idea that you were that old. You're an old fart, John. Didn't know that, man. I got a long time before I can call myself that if I'm using you as a baseline for that term. But thanks for being here, John. Appreciate it. Right. So, Advents calendar. It is the 13th. Clock is ticking here. I have not set anything up for Christmas yet, folks. I need to do it soon. I did receive an email or a WhatsApp from the Conscious Caracal this morning, and he was telling me that the episode when I was on with him earlier this year was ranked in number 9 out of 35 episodes he did. So today's 13. 13's over here, right on the bridge. Let's see what we get ahead of this here. I didn't eat yesterday's chocolate, so I need to do that today. That's because I had a V8 yesterday. So this is a half moon with a star at the top of it. That's pretty cool. So there it is, milk chocolate, half moon. Right? And then yesterday, of course, was the sleigh. That's still sitting here, so I need to eat that today, too. Yeah. Courtney will be 43. Wow. Youth. Let's not all start telling everybody, John's birthday's tomorrow. That's why he mentioned. Okay, sorry, John. I just went right past that part. You'll get there alarmingly. Yeah, no, John, I'm well aware of that. I got to this stage a lot quicker than I intended in life. It's interesting because sometimes the passage of time seems to go very quickly. Sometimes it goes very slowly. I'm glad to experience periods when the perception of time is slower. For instance, November seemed to drone on inordinately long for me, and I'm fine with that. I didn't mind it at all. It was a month that just seemed to take a long time to get through. December is moving along very quickly, as it tends to do. So, yeah, I don't mind it. It's all perception. Time doesn't change unless you're near a big gravity well like a black hole, and then time is distorted or slowed down or accelerated as you get away from it. So, time distortion. Anyway, by the way, my favorite ever Star Trek Enterprise, favorite ever Star Trek episode of any of the series was the one that just boggled my mind. It was so well done by Paramount, and that was Yesterday's Enterprise. I think that was the title of it when that was an episode in Star Trek The Next Generation when suddenly you're looking at the screen and they come back to the bridge, and Picard and Riker and all the people on the bridge look very militaristic. It's dark and ominous on the bridge, and we don't know what happened. Well, there was an Enterprise previous version, the NCC 1701C, I think it was, or was it B, that had disappeared in an encounter. It pops through a rift in time and space because the explosion was so great. It sent it through time and space, and it appears in the time frame with the Next Generation, but it alters the timeline. It alters the timeline, and it's pretty wild because that ship disappeared and it did not make a difference in a battle. And so they wind up sending it back with Lieutenant Casillas, and it was Tasha Yar reappears in an episode. She had been killed earlier in the series, and then Denise Crosby, who's now 67 years old, 68 years old. Denise Crosby, granddaughter of Bing Crosby, of course, an actress who played on Star Trek Next Generation. She played Lieutenant Tasha Yar. She was killed, a pointless death. And so in this timeline, Guinan, played by Whoopi Goldberg, senses that something is wrong. Her species can sense oddities like this. No one else gets. She's like, this isn't right. We're not supposed to be here. I can't explain it. Tasha is dead. And Picard is like, what do you mean she's dead? What do you mean? You got to tell me more. I need to know more. And eventually, Guinan's guidance convinces Picard that they need to send it back through the rift. And the ship, as it's being pummeled by Romulans, goes back through the rift, and the timeline reverts to the other one. And like, Bridge, what was that? They don't know what it was. They didn't see it. None of it happened. Oh, it was the best. Yesterday's Enterprise. Man, that was an incredible episode. Star Trek episode where Picard was in a trance during he lived an entirely different life during his 20-minute slumber. Oh, yeah. That was pretty wild. And Garrett's talking about a neurosurgeon. Okay. Garrett, quit telling us about your brain surgeon, man. I'm going to start worrying about whether you're all there, man. Well, President Cyril Ramaphosa has got something to complain about. Before we get to that, folks, let's talk about the fantasy of COP28. COP28 is concluding, and the 190 nations and territories that gathered for this fairy tale conference have decided to phase out the use of hydrocarbons by the year 2050. Let me just tell you something right now. All of the people responsible for that lunacy that are in the U.S. government, we will ensure that you are not in U.S. government in the coming years. You will be removed by the ballot box or fired for your incompetence and your climate religion. It's funny how the left loves to say separation of church and state, that religion has no place in government, yet they bring the religion of climate into government, bowing before the altar and the golden calf of climate change. You will be removed from government. You will not be kept in positions of responsibility because you're not particularly bright. You wish to send us back to the dark ages, make us live in caves and suffer, and you want to collapse the human population. You people are vile and reprehensible. You do realize, you bigots and racists, that when you talk about collapsing the human population, the vast majority of people are people of color on this planet. So who exactly do you want to reduce the population to just 500 million? That means you're going to have to kill off 1 billion Chinese, 1 billion Indians, and about 1 billion Africans in order to get there. And then many, many more people still, most of whom are people of color. So why does no one ever question Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and all these other lunatics about their plan to reduce the global population to just 500 million without pointing out that that's a very racist position? How do they get away with that freebie? Alex Newman is reporting COP Daily is also heavily shadow banned or priority filter, as Google would say. Yes. Yeah, Jacques, I haven't seen anything from Alex. I appear on his program periodically. I haven't seen anything from him. I haven't talked to him in a few months. Last time I talked to him, he'd asked me to come on, and something happened. I think it was I was going to South Africa and couldn't do it. Malthusian, I know that I'm among a few environmentalists who turn this. Yeah, you probably are. Environmentalists are not particularly welcome here. I'm not chasing them away, but we don't deal in fantasies. I deal in reality, and the reality is that conservationism is the path, not environmentalism. Conservationism. The plan is here for us to use, not to exclude us from its use. Just had to be good stewards of it and use it wisely. Well, brain surgeon, what brain? COP28 nations agree on impoverishing the world in its effort to reduce the size of the human population. Well, that's what the headline should read. This one. What was that? That shouldn't happen. Here we go. COP28 nations agree first time to transition away from fossil fuels. United Arab Emirates brokers a compromise that calls for a clean energy shift to accelerate this decade. Look, it's John Kerry, the fraud in chief himself, Mr. Swiftboat, the scumbag who betrayed America. More than 190 governments at the UN Climate Conference approved an agreement Wednesday calling for the world to transition away from fossil fuels, sending an unprecedented signal to the global economy that governments are intent on cutting back on coal, oil, and natural gas in the fight against global warming. The deal, the result of 2 weeks of bullshit negotiations, calls for transitioning away from fossil fuels in energy systems in a just, orderly, and equitable manner. It says the shift to clean energy for the global economy should accelerate this decade with the aim of impoverishing everyone and making people starve to death with net zero greenhouse emissions by 2050. Now, of course, they don't bother to mention the transitioning away from the destruction of forest in Africa to create charcoal and the carbon that's emitted from that highly carbon-intensive source of heat and light. No mention of that. No mention of deforestation taking place in the Amazon as Brazil clears entire jungles to plant crops. No mention of that. No mention of the use of kerosene to fuel the cargo ships of the planet, which produce over 3% of the carbon. No mention of aviation here because they're all frauds. And this is just fraudulent scam to defraud people and take money out of our pockets by forcing us to live in the dark ages. That's right, folks. That's what's really going on here. South African news, President Cyril Ramaphosa is appealing his failure to follow the law. That's right. Ramaphosa broke the law and he's appealing to a higher court. This is getting ridiculous. The courts must simply dismiss these nonsense, nuisance lawsuits from the African National Congress and from the government every time they appear before court. Don't even entertain this garbage anymore. These clowns, Jacob Zuma, Julius Malema, Cyril Ramaphosa, the African National Congress, the EFF, are simply abusing the court system. Ramaphosa will appeal high court decision which set aside his recognition of the King Mzuzulu. President Ramaphosa will appeal the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria, which found that he had unlawfully certified King Mzuzulu KwaZulu as head of the Zulu monarchy in October of last year. The judge, Norman Davis, instructed Ramaphosa to set up an investigative committee to probe the allegations that Mzuzulu was not identified for his position in line with Zulu customary law and customs. Yes, well, Ramaphosa doesn't like the fact that he broke the law and he got caught. He doesn't like the fact that he broke the law and got caught. So his answer is not to follow the law and adhere to it. It is to ignore it and to abuse the court system to get a judgment in his favor. Put a stop to this nonsense. Same thing here in the States. Leftists using the courts to tarnish the reputations of innocent people. I saw today another ludicrous thing in Penn Live, which is an amalgamation of leftist media outlets here in Pennsylvania. Penn Live runs another crappy op-ed from some citizen, this time attacking Representative Scott Perry, claiming that he tried to overturn the 2020 choosing, and hails it and says that he was in collusion with a whole bunch of officials. And he lists in this op-ed several officials who Jack Smith has illegitimately got a warrant to see their text messages. Amongst these officials are state representatives, candidate for governor, and also state senators. Of course, the U.S. representative for this district, Scott Perry, is in consultation with those people. Of course he is. Of course he is. There were irregularities taking place in Pennsylvania. He was asking local officials what was going on. That should not be subject to court interference. It's an abuse of the court system. And these op-eds from this leftist Penn Live are getting quite nauseating. It's time to start an alternative for this. We were going to start a Dear PA, but Rob Hutchison went a walkabout and disappeared. So we never done the Dear PA, like Dear SA. Well, folks, it's come true. In fact, let me check and see if I got a response here, because a gentleman I was in contact with. Oh, no, that's someone else. Okay. No, he hasn't got back in touch with me. Just a second. Someone else got in touch with me here. Okay. All right. Now I got it. Got it. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So this is a disturbing development here. Lusufi's personal police brigade, which will no doubt abuse things, has been given full police powers, contrary to the rule of law. Gauteng crime prevention wardens to get full police powers despite irregularities and complaints, not to mention the fact that they're incompetent boobs who keep crashing motor vehicles. Yep. Gauteng's controversial Gauteng crime prevention wardens have been declared peace officers, meaning they'll have power of arrest and can carry a firearm. Oh, that's not dangerous. recalling the role of apartheid-era special constables, or KITS constables. Independent policing expert David Bruce said there are grounds for serious concern. I agree. The Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Ronnie Lamala, issued a short statement announcing his decision on an application by the Gauteng government. According to the statement, after conducting a thorough analysis of the applicable legal frameworks, it's determined that the Gauteng crime prevention wardens to exercise peace officer powers, they must assume the same legal status as Gauteng provincial traffic officers. Provincial traffic officers currently carry out their duties within the ambit of their police officer designation, supported by the necessary legal framework. The 2011 Gazette makes it clear that they'll have all the powers conferred on peace officers in terms of Criminal Procedure Act. So these folks are going to be carrying guns. Folks who can't drive motor vehicles will now be law enforcement officials with just a couple of months of training. And this is Lusufy, the Gauteng Premier's personal little army to terrorize citizens. That's what's going to happen here. That's what's going to happen there. Well, December 6th is coming on, and the ANC has not been liquidated. December 12th has come and gone, and the ANC has not been liquidated. And once again, media reports are absolutely silent on this. Last night I did a video about this, and then removed it shortly after I posted it. I may repost that video. There was nothing I said in there that was inappropriate, but on advice of someone, I actually took it down. I'm going to contemplate that. The question is Lusufy simply trying to recoup its money, which appears to be the case, and that's why they're impatient, or are they trying to help South Africans rid themselves of the burden of the ANC? Apparently they're not. They don't care about getting rid of the ANC. But if the ANC is liquidated, it cannot compete in the 2024 elections. So Lusufy's doing no one any favors by not liquidating the ANC. But they claim that they're in settlement talks. The ANC denies this, says they can't comment on it. But senior figures in the ANC, including Ramaphosa and reportedly Jacob Zuma, have approached to try to settle the matter, in which the ANC now owes Zelinskyy 144 million rand, but has just 100,000 rand in his checking account, which was seized by the Gauteng Sheriff's Office just a week ago. King Mzulu will remain the king, heir to the throne, says the presidency, despite the fact that Sir Ramaphosa broke the law. Ramaphosa's office confirmed he will challenge the High Court ruling, which we've just reported on. After a study of the judgment, the president will apply for leave to appeal. During the course of these legal processes, Mzulu remains the identified heir to the throne. The court had ordered Ramaphosa to institute an investigative committee to probe allegations of violation of customary laws in the identification of Mzulu. In defiance of the court, President Ramaphosa calls on members of the royal family to continue working for the unity of Ubukhosi Bakwazulu and to prioritize the interests of His Majesty's subjects. It's vital that due processes are allowed to reach their natural conclusion without inflaming tensions. Let it be known that the end of the Zulu nation was the death of King Goodwill Zwelithini. This nonsense is ludicrous. Amazing pictures from still cameras that were not observed by the crooked ANC lack of security in the Parliament building, the historic Parliament building in Cape Town, torched by an arsonist who now is deemed not fit to stand trial. Of course he's not fit, because God forbid he actually discloses who he was working for or on behalf of. The ANC would not want that information to get out to the public, regardless of who he's working for. The embarrassment is just too much. But look at these photographs. These are incredibly embarrassing. News 24 does us all a great service by releasing these photographs. Astounding pictures of Mafe walking around Parliament before setting it alight. Here he's setting Parliament on fire, dropping something burning down there. Screenshots of the closed-circuit television footage of the events leading up to the fire on January 2nd, 2022 show how one man wandered around the precinct, sometimes in blazing floodlights, completely unhindered. He appears to have been noticed only when he stuck a hand out of the building to wave at one of the police officers. He waved at a cop. Good God. Wow. Wow. The CCTV footage shows the embarrassing neglect of the building's security. Yep. So here we go. Here he is on December 31st, walking down the street, Lely Street, or Plain Street. There he is again. And here's a timeline of when we spotted on CCTV. He climbs over a fence at a control room and crawls and walks to the National Assembly side in front. He's carrying a big, bulky plastic bag. Okay, the path that this gentleman takes to get into the Parliament building is not one that a simple break-in would have occurred. This is clearly somebody who was coached and trained and told how to get into the building, and that there would be nobody to watch him. There you can see him in those pictures. Here you spot it at the foyer door. Down the wall of remembrance. Seen inside for the first time the old assembly passage. No one else is in the building. It's completely unoccupied. No security forces by the incompetent ANC. Here he is for a second time wearing a gray shirt, blue denim, manga knee shorts, gray shoes, black socks, and a black mask. Same clothes he was wearing when he climbed out the window the next day. Here he is, starts packing newspapers under doors, documents, chairs, boxes, and throwing a substance on it in the old assembly. He switches on the light to look at it, and no one responds. The whole time he changes his appearance by wearing a baseball cap or putting a jacket on and then taking it off. Not really sure what that was all about. He plants small plastic bottles in Parliament, gathers more boxes and some clothes. Where's he getting clothes from? The window he pointed out is a window where he entered Parliament. Opens a shutter window to look outside. This is the window he was later arrested at. Steps through the window, closes the window, and walks outside the building. He's wearing the same clothes he was arrested in. And then he went back into Parliament, undetected. Appears on the balcony over the gallery, starts throwing boxes, papers, clothes, and unknown substance, and throws into the gallery. This carries on through the morning hours between the Old Assembly and National Assembly through plastic bottles over the balcony. He's collecting numerous bags and seen moving them between the Old Assembly and National Building. Here he uses a curtain. He walks to a curtain and uses a knife to shred it. He fastens strips of 3 bags and uses it to let the bags down a window to the ground. Undetected. Look at this. 3 bags. These bags are caught. He's got a cell phone as a torch, looking as if he's in contact with someone. Okay. And there he is up there dropping stuff. He leaves the National Assembly and is seen running towards the Old Assembly in the direction he was arrested. Here he's finally arrested. Wow. Talk about incompetence of the highest order. Incompetence of the highest order. This is the African National Congress. Rather quiet for a while. Hey now, lady. Not in a good place at the moment. Big black dog staying away from everyone. Be back to it. Well, I hope that you're doing okay now, lady. Sorry we haven't seen you. A lot of people disappeared for various reasons of late. Boy, this light is not looking right today. Let's go lower. That's better. Okay, yeah. Sorry to hear that you're not well. I'm glad you're back. No, the arsonist was deeply involved here, and this is the incompetence of the African National Congress. Communication Workers Union threatens to jeopardize the 2024 election because they haven't got a pay raise at SABC. Wow. Communication Workers Union has vowed to disrupt the 2024 national and provincial elections should the cash-strapped SABC not accede to its demand for higher wages. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call terrorism. Or you can call it, what do you want to call it? Extortion. That's what it really is, extortion. This is extortion. The communication workers are trying to extort the public, threatening to disrupt the election. This is unacceptable, and these people must be dealt with. South Africa's bold nuclear leap. What a crock this is. Do you know how many hundreds of billions of rand it's going to take to build these power plants? And the Medupe plant still isn't up to operation 15 years later. In a move that sparked intense debate, the South African government has announced plans to procure an additional 2,500 megawatts of nuclear power. Oh, that's not going to go bad. Yeah, it's aimed at addressing the country's chronic power shortages. Electricity Minister Kogisenso Ramaphosa touts the cost-effectiveness of nuclear energy. No, it's not cost-effective. The prohibitively high cost of building these major plants instead of building small modular reactors, which is the feasible way to do it. I've also seen a study here that claims that solar photovoltaic is cheaper than other form. That is total garbage and nonsense. This is cooked up, bogus, idiotic stuff. Yep, that is simply not the case. What this will provide is 250 billion rand of corruption opportunity for ANC kleptocrats. Well, reports that in Gauteng province there is some issues inside the Freedom Front Plus leadership. In a war over leadership, as Dr. Peter Groenewald reportedly is trying to resolve it. The leadership structure in Gauteng is in limbo after irregularities and allegations of maladministration marred its recent Congress. An investigation into the validity of elected leadership is underway. Some of the party's senior leaders locked in a meeting for most of yesterday to thrash out the dispute. Freedom Front Plus leader and member of Parliament Peter Groenewald expected to attend the meeting. National Chairperson Anton Alberts referred questions to Groenewald. Congress was held in Krugersdorp last week and saw Philip von Staden, Kobus Hoffmann, and Grandi Tunison elected as leaders. Of course, Kobus is a friend of the program and somebody we've had on the program in the past. Yep. And, so not sure what's going on there. But maybe, I don't think he can talk. He has responded to my message, but I don't think he's allowed to talk right now. So we'll wait and see. Jaco Mulder, Amanda DeLong, and Gerda Senecal, who serve as MP and MPL councilor, were booted out. The trio were challenging election outcome of the Congress, with DeLong telling News 24 she was still the deputy leader. Wow. Mulder, who identified himself as part of the newly formed interim structure, told News 24 the investigation would likely continue until the end of the week, with the outcome set to be announced in January. Well, a little chaos inside the Freedom Front Plus. That's unfortunate. Over 1,000 South African healthcare workers signed a letter calling for a boycott of Israel. Bigots, anti-Semites. More than 1,000 healthcare professionals in South Africa have written an open letter to health regulatory bodies in higher education, calling on them to take a firm and unapologetic stance over war crimes committed in Gaza, Palestine, and for an academic boycott of Israel to be instituted. 1,281 healthcare professionals, making it the most compelling letter emanating from the sector. There is no ethical justification for the systemic and targeted attacks on Palestinian healthcare workers, facilities, and patients. We therefore call on these groups and all regulatory bodies to take a stand against the oppression faced by the Palestinian people. Of course, these healthcare workers were silent for the gang rape, the mutilation, the breast removal, the cooking of babies in ovens and microwaves, the execution of innocent civilians, the murder of foreign nationals in Hamas's terror rampage on October 7th. They had nothing to say about that. Not a thing to say about that. Israel's not targeting hospitals. Israel is targeting military locations, and Hamas has violated the law of land warfare. Hamas has violated the Geneva Conventions. Hamas has committed war crimes, not Israel. These ignorant, uninformed, buffoonish, race-hustling, anti-Semitic healthcare workers in South Africa need to be called to account for their stupidity. Learn international law before you open your mouths. It is tragic what is happening in Gaza. Absolutely tragic, and it is unfortunate. But roll the clock back to October 6th, this wasn't happening. The only thing happening on October 6th is Hamas was firing rockets into civilian facilities in Israel. No complaints from these scumbag healthcare workers about Hamas targeting hospitals, clinics, schools, and historic sites in Israel for the past 16 years. 18 years with rockets on a daily basis, murdering Israeli civilians, attacking schools and hospitals. Not one word ever about those crimes against humanity. These people need an enema because their brain is full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. Absolutely uninformed about what's going on, as are most of the people. Now, hopefully, Israel will achieve their goals in eradicating Hamas sooner rather than later. The human toll is becoming quite depressing and quite sad. These idiots sign letters and don't even know remotely the impact of conflict. They've never been in conflict. They've never been shot at. They've never dove in a hole to get away from artillery shrapnel. They do not know what it's like. Those of us who've experienced combat know full well the horrors of it. And this would not be occurring were it not for Hamas intentionally provoking Israel into Hamas's war. Enough of the nonsense. 1,281 morons pretending to be healthcare workers. Would you want to be treated by a bigot, an anti-Semite? I don't. Pravin Gordhan withholding key documents on South African Airways sale. Why is he doing that? Minister of Public Enterprises Pravin Gordhan has refused to provide two crucial documents on the sale of South African Airways to Parliament, with the matter now referred to the Speaker to decide further action. Well, he should be suspended. He handled the sale of 51% to Takatso Consortium, all by himself without advisors, and refused to provide a portfolio committee of public enterprise with a short list of bidders. Well, can you say corruption? Can you say corruption? And what happens to Pravin Gordhan after he leaves government? A board seat for the new SAA? Well, after crashing 22 BMWs, the Ama Panyaza, that's Lusufi's little personal army in Gauteng we talked about earlier, are now recognized as traffic cops. Are they fit for purpose? No, they are not. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronnie Lomola's recommendation that Gauteng's Ama Panyaza crime wardens be given the same legal status as provincial traffic officers has received mixed reaction. After conducting analysis of the applicable legal frameworks, yeah, we already read that. We'll skip that. Earlier this month, the Sunday Times put a spotlight on the crime prevention warden's vehicle use, which involved 22 crashes since taking possession of 199 new BMWs in May. In 6 months, they've destroyed so many vehicles. 11 of those cars are undergoing repairs. 3 have been written off and 8 are assessed for damage. Wow. The response was, law enforcement officials are not immune to road accidents, particularly because they have to cautiously use high levels of speed when conducting high-density operations. Yeah, that's true. But you shouldn't be putting motor vehicles in the hands of people that don't know how to drive. That's a pretty high rate. That is over 10% of the vehicles have been trashed in just 6 months. I spent 36 years in the Army, driving vehicles all over the world in austere and difficult conditions and environments, and never once had an accident. I saw 2 accidents with military vehicles in 36 and a half years, both in the 1980s. There shouldn't be any ads, Charles. I've set the ads so that only I can put them in. YouTube is cheating. Yep. And that got good news. He's getting full bonus. Solar and inverter battery will be hopefully cool. That'd be awesome if you get that up. Yeah, speaking of solar, let me take a peek if the sun has come out. It doesn't look like it has. It has. It's come up now, and we're on the rise here. We had under 1 kilowatt hour earlier, now at 2.83 in just 45 minutes. That's been put back into the grid. That's awesome. Good stuff there. So, all right. Well, state theater fraud. 24 million more rand disappear. Shocker. Employees allegedly flouted supply chain rules and siphoned money to their relatives. Well, shocker there. 41-year-old former South African state theater employee and 4 accomplices aged 37, 38, 44, and 59 have arrested following investigation by the Directorate of Priority Crime Investigation, also known as the Chicken Hawks. Yeah, it's alleged 2 employees from the South African State Theater siphoned money for their own personal gain as they flouted the supply chain processes. The 2 employees allegedly utilized letterheads of existing companies to create invoices without the knowledge of the actual companies. Well, there you go. More thieves in South Africa's state bureaucracy. Well, life is cheap. We've said this many, many times. How in the world is it even possible for a person who kidnaps someone and then brutally murders them because a ransom demand isn't met ever sees the light of day again? Well, in South Africa, that is the case. Murderers are released, even when they're a threat to society. The High Court orders kidnapper and killer Donovan Moodley to be given new parole hearing. Why? Why? The Gauteng High Court has ordered that Lee Matthews' murderer Donovan Moodley be given another parole hearing. This followed the deplorable conduct and incompetence of the parole board, which recommended his parole application be deferred. Based on the board's conduct, Stewart reviewed and set aside a decision in the Moody parole hearing in order to be given a third parole hearing by an entirely reconstituted Correctional Supervision and Parole Board no later than March 29th of next year. He's serving a life sentence for the 2004 murder of Lee Matthews, whom he abducted from Bond University and held captive while demanding ransom from her family. After receiving $50,000 from Matthews' father, he shot her 3 times instead of letting her go. Why is he even getting parole? This is sick. This is sick. You know, at some point, vigilantes are going to start forming hit squads to take out these scumbags as they're released. You know, this is ridiculous. Speaking of reprehensible behavior, I don't know what's going on with people here in South Africa, but this is uncalled for. A Johannesburg lawyer who allegedly damaged vehicles of pro-Palestinian supporters reprimanded in the dock. The people who foolishly support Hamas have a right to say so. They have no right to harass you, but you have no right to attack their property. Look at this. Throwing blood on someone's car. Spray painted by Brenda Mae Stern. The case against an attorney accused of spray painting vehicles belonging to pro-Palestine supporters has been postponed. The attorney, Brenda Mae Stern, is facing charges of assault and malicious damage to property. She's out of jail on 1,000 rand bail and representing people. The Hillbrow Magistrates Court had to reprimand an attorney representing another attorney who was accused of damaging vehicles belonging to pro-Palestinian protesters back in October. On Wednesday, attorney Brenda Mae Stern, who is alleged to have spray painted the cars at a protest in Joburg, appeared in court on charge of assault and malicious damage to property. How do you assault property? That's ridiculous. You can assault a person, not property. A candidate attorney at BDK Attorneys, Jesse Hanekom, asked the court to postpone the case to March, telling it was because Stern had other cases. Hanekom did not go into detail of the other cases his client has to deal with. His explanation did not impress the magistrate, Jacob Shangbangu. You're telling me about the high court. What about my court where she stands as an accused? Please remember that your client is not standing before me as an attorney. She's standing here before me as an accused person. As an accused person, she must just come to court on arranged dates. Really? I don't disagree with Jacob Shabangu. Jacob Shabangu, the judge, is 100% correct. But what about Julius Malema and Zandili Gumeda and Cyril Ramaphosa and Isma Gashule and Julius Malema? And the list goes on of people who never go to court. They just ignore it. Jacob Zuma, walk out of court. And no consequences. No consequence whatsoever. No, Jacob Zuma going to escort prison was not a consequence. It made him a hero. And he didn't spend any time there. So, yeah, I agree. The lawyer needs to appear before court for the criminal damage that she's caused. And probably wind up getting disbarred. How can you have someone that acts that way being an attorney? We have those idiots in New York City who attack people and then continue to practice law. It's a disgrace. Eddie Jones, despite his denials, is the head coach of Japan Rugby Union. Wow, Eddie Jones denied this. He said, how can you say that? It's untrue. I'm not talking to Japan. Well, guess what? The 63-year-old Australian resigned as head coach of Australia in October, and now he is the head coach of Japan. Despite media reports during the World Cup suggesting Jones had been interviewed for the job, the coach denied any such discussions, only for the official confirmation to come later. This appointment follows Jones' successor, Jamie Joseph, who guided Japan to the World Cup quarterfinals but faced a pool stage exit in France. Jones, whose mother and wife are Japanese, brings a wealth of experience to the role, having led Japan to historic upset of South Africa in 2015. He returns to the helm and is expected to bring renewed energy and strategic prowess to the Japanese rugby scene. Wow. Eddie Jones. What are you talking about? I'm not going to Japan. That's not going to happen. Guess what? It did. Australia's housing costs have hit new highs. Officials say that migrants are part of the problem. Many newcomers have settled in cities where housing is in short supply, raising concerns about property affordability. Australian home prices just hit a high in what was already one of the world's most expensive real estate markets. Now, Australian officials say they have a plan that will help make housing more affordable. Cutting migration. That'll make Australia a better place, too. A new policy unveiled this week will result in a 14% reduction in migrants over the next 4 years that would otherwise be expected, according to government forecasts. The country of 26 million absorbed a record of some 510,000 net arrivals in the most recent year, more than 20% above what officials projected 7 months ago. Wow. Housing costs are skyrocketing in Australia by the mass migration to a country that has no water and is already overpopulated. The Israeli Defense Forces recovered the bodies of two Israeli hostages from Gaza. 2 soldiers lost their lives in battles during the operations. The Israeli Defense Force said Tuesday they have retrieved the remains of 2 hostages who were abducted by Hamas terrorists during the October 7th attack and returned them to Israel. The 2 have been identified as Ziv Dado, 36-year-old logistics supervisor in the Golani Brigade's 51st Battalion, and Eden Zachariah, who was kidnapped from a music festival in southern Israel. IDF also stated that 2 of its soldiers lost their lives in battles during the operations. Locating the missing and bringing the hostages home is a national mission. We're working with all security agencies, intelligence, and operational means to fulfill it. Wow. So, 2 bodies of the hostages. Soldiers surrender, bases fall, and a powerful rebel army is threatening the military junta's grip on power in Myanmar. Wall Street Journal covering this story now. A story I've covered since February of 2021, which is largely neglected by the mainstream media. The map on the right-hand side, you can see, according to this claim, these are towns that have fallen to rebels and army battalion headquarters. There are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 battalion headquarters which have fallen. Crazy stuff. Myanmar's military enemies are making unprecedented gains, capturing outposts, bases, and towns. The acting commander gave his most trusted soldier one task: tell the troops to grab anything white they could find. It was time to surrender. For more than 4 days, bombs rained down on Myanmar military base where the 125th Infantry Battalion was headquartered. Troops said their families had split into small groups and were hiding in shelters. Soldiers ordered women and injured troops to move into the open where enemy drones could see them, then raised a bamboo pole with a scrap of white fabric. Some of the men wept. It's the worst thing a soldier can do, said an army captain, sad and ashamed. Well, the late November surrender to a rebel group is a window into the biggest challenge the powerful military has faced, not just since its 2021 illegal coup. Rebels are overthrowing Myanmar's corrupt military, and it is long overdue, while the world community sits by and does nothing to help them, including sleepy Joe Biden. He's too busy giving money to the grifter Volodymyr Zelinsky. China stocks bonds to suffer a $65 billion outflow. This is a projection as geopolitical risk and waning investor sentiment in the Chi-Com experiment dissipates. Deteriorating inflow relations with the West, along with de-risking, reshoring, and technology embargoes, are set to weigh on capital flows. Elevated geopolitical risk and a changed investor sentiment could hold back foreign investor interest in Chinese stocks and bonds next year. This, according to the International Institute of Finance. We project net outflows of non-resident capital from China in 2024 after significant outflows in 2023. Net outflows of non-resident portfolio debt are projected to remain substantial at $45 billion in 2024. Wow. Meanwhile, the large interest rate differential between China and the U.S. has exacerbated capital outflows as people flood their money into dollar-based assets because of the Fed raising interest rates. It's happening all over the world, including in Africa. Well, the grifter-in-chief, Volodymyr Zelinsky, the piano-playing buffoon, has been to Washington and begged for money, but it ain't going well. Ain't going well. Zelinsky calls for more aid to fight Russia. We are now ending our live coverage of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's trip to D.C., says the BBC. Republicans and Democrats are standing their ground in negotiations over the aid, and Zelinsky met with members of both parties to plead for his case. Top Republicans maintain that for the aid to be approved, it must be combined with funding for border control. And Joe Biden says that Ukraine is more important than the U.S.'s border. Joe Biden is a fool. COP28 talks end in the Middle East. In the final weeks of the hottest year in recorded history, which is bullshit. This isn't the hottest year in recorded history. The planet was once a molten, recorded history. Okay, fair enough. That's probably true. Recorded history, not in history. The international body responsible for limiting global warming and its disastrous effects called on countries to transition away from the chief cause of climate change for the first time. Does that mean that leftist politicians and the media are going to disappear? We're going to get rid of the primary cause of climate change, the frauds telling us about it? He said, it's embarrassing that it took 28 years to get here, but we're finally here. Now it seems finally like the world has acknowledged that we need to move away from fossil fuels, says Dan Jorgensen, Denmark's climate minister. Of course, Denmark is a major petroleum producer, and they will impoverish themselves by ending that North Sea oil. United Nations General Assembly has voted to demand immediate ceasefire in Gaza. And here's my response. Foot sec, get stuffed, piss off. Yep. United Nations General Assembly has voted to demand immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the war-torn Gaza in a rebuke to the United States, which has repeatedly blocked ceasefire calls in the Security Council. A majority of the 153 nations voted for the ceasefire, while 10 voted against and 23 abstained. The brief resolution calls for a ceasefire for all parties to comply with international law and for the humanitarian access of hostages as well as their immediate unconventional release. See, the thing is that Israel is complying with international law. And so how about Hamas comply with it? Release the hostages. Israel said it stops its military campaign not until it eradicates Hamas. And Hamas continues to hold hostages and murder them. And the General Assembly doesn't seem to be too concerned about that. Well, here's an op-ed. This is an op-ed YouTube, op-ed from the Wall Street Journal, a genuine publication. I'm simply sharing what the op-ed says. This isn't my opinion. This isn't my commentary. Simply YouTube. You need to understand this is simply news reporting, which you allow on your platform. The truth about net zero at last. Climate enthusiasm hits a political wall as voters face the cost. The good and bad, great and good of politics and business have converged in Dubai this week for the global climate conference known as COP28, and now they must wish they hadn't. The event was done one thing such confabs are supposed never to do, which is expose the truth about climate change and the race to net zero. The truth teller-in-chief is the event's host, Sultan Al-Jaber. He's become a figure of hate on the eco-left since letting slip that he's a net zero skeptic. There's no science out there or no scenario out there that says the phase out of fossil fuel is what's going to achieve the 1.5 degrees. Wow. He warned that attempting to wean the world off of fossil fuels would take the world back into caves. The bigger embarrassment for the climate left is that the voters agree with Mr. Jaber. If you haven't paid much attention, COP28, perhaps you've read about the collapse of the net zero agenda around the world. The European Union's Green Deal is on the rocks barely 4 years after it was unveiled. Key elements of the program, especially concerning land conservation, have withered on contact with the European Parliament. In the United Kingdom in September, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak ditched an electric vehicle mandate that had been due to kick in 2030. Germany is slipping into political disarray after a court ruling in mid-November disallowed the budget gimmick that Berlin used, stealing COVID money to force people to buy alternative energy. The common denominator is reality. European countries like the U.S. are discovering that no matter how hard they push for net zero, costs never come down, green jobs never materialize to replace industrial employment, and the subsidy bill never declines. Meanwhile, Europe's economies are already highly efficient in carbon emitted per euro of gross domestic product, and China and India keep building coal-fired power plants anyway. Developing economies don't have the luxury to set net zero fantasies, and they are not. Wow, that from the host of COP28. Well, too much sadness. Asylum seekers in Finland caught in geopolitical drama. To which I have to say, tough noogies! You shouldn't be in Finland, you frauds. You frauds have crossed Russia, which aside from its conflict in Ukraine is this perfectly safe country, one of the largest country in the world. Lots of space for people to hang out there in Russia and seek asylum. But your destination shopping doesn't get you one iota of empathy from me, you frauds. And the fraudulent, of course, Guardian. Miranda Bryant, in her disgusting story here, says Moyad Salami crossed from Russia after a treacherous journey from Syria, but now the border is closed. Well, why didn't he stay in Russia? Wyatt Salami left his destroyed home in Homs a month ago from Russia, despite having heard horror stories of beatings en route. A friend had had his leg broken and failed attempts to cross the border. 36-year-old Syrian's plan was to go to Poland via Belarus to seek safety for himself and his family. When he got to Moscow, a smuggler on Telegram informed him that a safer and easier route had opened up. For $3,000, he was told he could get to Finland. No boats or beatings by border guards. All he had to do was get to St. Petersburg and the rest would be taken care of. Salami, a qualified lawyer who's working at Homes as a phone sales manager, is among more than 900 people that have crossed over the 830-mile frontier to Finland. These people are criminals. Criminals. You broke your country, you invaded Russia, and now you invade Finland. Get the fuck out. You have no business being there. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. You want asylum? You should have declared it in Turkey or Azerbaijan or Russia, not Finland. They reopened too, Erica. Zara pulls its ad after people lose their minds over a jacket that was published. Oof. The fashion brand Zara apologized after its latest ad campaign called The Jacket was widely criticized as tone-deaf and insensitive for evoking the destruction in Gaza. Although the campaign was conceived in July and photographed in September, many customers felt the release of the photos last Thursday during the war was insensitive. In the ads, a model stands surrounded by mannequins, some missing limbs and others covered in white plastic shrouds, which critics say looked like corpses. Some drew a comparison between the cloth in the ad and a typical Muslim burial shroud. The Israeli offensive in Gaza was launched in response to the October 7th attack. In an Instagram post Tuesday, Zara acknowledged that some customers were offended by the image and said they had been removed from the website. But people are angry at Zara. Whatever. Zelinskyy fails to win over Congress in his bid to grift more money out of my pocket. Ukrainian scumbag, grifter, anti-democratic, fascist, authoritarian ruler of Ukraine visits Washington. And here he is with Hakeem Jeffries, another anti-democratic and a race hustler. Yep, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelinsky failed to secure a breakthrough with Congress as it remains firmly deadlocked over Joe Biden's corrupt request for additional military assistance to fuel Biden's distractionary proxy war in Ukraine. Zelinsky told lawmakers this country will never give up the fight, and we don't really give a crap. We don't care. Move on. Well, Bill Ackerman, the donor to Harvard, says that they've backed Claudine Gay because they didn't want to show that they caved to him. Billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman says his alma mater, Harvard, refused to fire President Claudine Gay because the school's governing board did not want people to think it was kowtowing to him. I've been told now by two reporters that one of the factors that made it challenging for them to get rid of her was that they were concerned it would look like they were kowtowing to me. He waged a public campaign by penning an open letter to Harvard's board on Sunday demanding Gay's ouster, claiming that one of its trustees, had Bill just stopped tweeting, we would have come to the right answer. Well, so much for Veritas, Ackman wrote, the Latin word for truth, which is on Harvard's crest, its official shield. Well, Bill Ackman is correct, and Harvard is wrong. And they're keeping a anti-Semite diversity hire who's cost the institution $1 billion in endowment money by keeping her job, an incompetent fool and an anti-Semite, who's led a situation that has resulted in a lack of safety for Jewish students and those who support Jews on the campus of Harvard. Well, Philadelphia paid a settlement to an illegal immigrant after school violated sanctuary policy. The illegal sanctuary status of Philadelphia has resulted in the school paying a criminal alien invader's family a cash settlement. This is just sick beyond belief. City settled suit after principal asked about an immigrant's legal status. Philadelphia has reached a settlement with an illegal immigrant student and a family after a school principal inquired about the boy's legal status. He is illegally in the United States. He has no legal standing and should be deported immediately. But instead, Philadelphia gave him and his criminal alien parents money. The School District of Philadelphia has reached a mutual agreed upon resolution that reflects our emphasis on student well-being, refrain from commenting about personal matters, so Monique Braxton, Deputy Chief Communications. The deal, first reported by Philadelphia Inquirer, paid an undisclosed sum of money to Leslie Hernandez and her son, whose name was not revealed. The settlement also requires new training on restorative justice, mandates social, emotional, anti-bullying lessons for students, and includes a review of harassment policies. The city of Philadelphia needs to have its entire leadership removed and excised from the public, removed immediately, legally, legitimately, and sent packing to some gulag in New Jersey. These people are a danger to public safety, kowtowing and coddling criminal alien invaders. These illegals should not be in a Philadelphia school, which local residents pay for with their tax dollars. They should be deported forthwith. All 30 million of them. All 30 million of them. And for the 5 million in South Africa, same story. Get out. Well, talk about embarrassing. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, the fake Indian, fake black woman, doesn't know what she is unless it's politically convenient. Then she's Indian, then she's black. Kamala Harris, the boots up, legs in the air, Willie Brown's main squeeze, former San Francisco district attorney and attorney general of California, who famously lied about smoking weed when she was listening to Snoop Dogg. Well, Snoop Dogg was a child and wasn't smoking weed as a rapper when she lied about this. So, her embarrassment of a husband who's a Jew doesn't even know why Hanukkah is celebrated. What an embarrassment. They removed the tweet after this Jew knows nothing about Jewish tradition. Vice President Harris's Jewish husband butchers the Hanukkah origin story in a post that's been deleted. This isn't close. Doug Emhoff, husband to Vice President Kamala Harris, butchered the Hanukkah origin story in a since deleted social media post on Monday. The second gentleman, who is Jewish, based the origin of the Jewish festival off claims the Maccabees were forced into hiding. And then the story of Hanukkah and the story of the Jewish people has always been one of hope and resilience, he wrote. In the Hanukkah story, the Jewish people were forced into hiding. No one thought they would survive or that the few drops of oil they had would last. Of course, that's not how it went. He claimed that the oil continued burning. Jewish people dedicated themselves to their faith during the dark days. During those 8 days in hiding, they recited their prayers, continued their traditions. That's why Hanukkah means dedication. It was during those dark days the Maccabees dedicated themselves to maintaining hope and faith in the oil, each other and their Judaism. Of course, that's not how it happened. If anyone who's Jewish in the stream knows the story of the Maccabees and what really happened, you'll see just how stupid Mr. Emhoff is. But this is a fake secular Jew who doesn't even know his own faith. After the Maccabees rebelled against the Seleucid Empire, they found the temple desecrated in 164 BC. Coming across a small oil jar that was protected, the fighters lit it and expected the liquid to burn for a day. Instead, the oil burned for 8 days and bought enough time for the Maccabees to find consecrated oil. Former U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Freeman called out Emhoff's incorrect narrative. I know you're trying, but the story of Hanukkah is important and should be recounted accurately. This isn't close. Oh, my goodness. The second gentleman is a moron. Doesn't even know his own origin story of Judaism. Well, Starbucks is officially in the EV market. That's right. Court says Starbucks locations in 5 states now host Volvo's electric car chargers. And am I paying for that electricity with my $7 Starbucks Frappuccino? Probably. Starbucks has opened electric vehicle charging stations at 15 locations along a 1,000-mile stretch between Denver and Seattle as part of its partnership with Volvo, Swedish automaker. Well, that's not true. Volvo is not a Swedish automaker. It's a Chinese automaker. Starbucks and Volvo said part of the reasoning behind the project, which they announced last year, is to address North America's lack of charging stations. There are only 32,000 fast chargers available in the U.S., a tiny fraction of the country's 2.3 million electric cars. So here's the map, and now you can sit in line with hundreds of other idiotic leftist environmental loons charging your car, wasting money staying in hotels along this route from Denver to Seattle. Other food and retail chains also seizing America's rising interest in electric vehicles and the need for more charging stations. Taco Hell, Whole Foods, 7-Eleven, and Subway are among a growing number of companies to add chargers outside their stores. Of course, who pays for that electricity? We do, because Starbucks and 7-Eleven and Whole Foods and all these idiots still get an electric bill. And guess who pays for that? We pay for that in the higher bills. We pay for that. And you're going to say, wait, well, maybe they're charging them. Yeah, we still pay. It costs money to install it. It's not free. The owner of a Central Pennsylvania mall just down the road from me, a 15-minute drive, has declared bankruptcy for the second time. The Capital City Mall, or as I prefer to call it, the Dirt Mall, the Philadelphia-based real estate investment trust, which owns, among other assets, Capital City Mall outside of Harrisburg, announced that it filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy for the second time since the pandemic. They will restructure their $880 million in debt. Ah, the great success of Bidenomics. Another mall fails. Both times during Joe Biden's presidency, it's filed for bankruptcy. But this economy is great. We're doing wonderful. Things are cheaper, according to Karine Jean-Pierre. And Joe Biden's Bidenomics is working. Interest rates are getting us a return on our savings. Of course, credit card rates are way up as a consequence, and so are home loans charges. But it's a great and wondrous world. Yet this real estate investment trust, a company that can almost not fail. Real estate investment trusts are one of the safest, most reliable sources of dividend income in the stock market. They do fail, but rarely, unless things are bad. Emmy-winning actor Andre Braugher has sadly passed away. The 61-year-old star of Homicide: Life on the Street and Brooklyn Nine-Nine has passed away. He got his start in the movie Glory, featuring the 54th Massachusetts, where he played a young soldier. Andre Braugher, the Emmy Award-winning actor known for his roles in the series Homicide: Life on the Street and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, died on Monday at the age of 61. Chicago-born actor had his breakthrough in 1989's Glory, starring alongside Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington. He won an Oscar for that film about an all-black army regiment during the Civil War. He would later establish himself with the role of Detective Frank Pembleton, which he would play for 7 seasons in Homicide: Life on the Street, a Baltimore-based gritty police drama. And he would go on to later star in Brooklyn Nine-Nine for 8 seasons from 2013 to 2021. He's married for more than 30 years to his Homicide co-star Amy Brabson. They have 3 sons. And he was eventually nominated for 4 Emmys during his run on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's unfortunate. Andre Braugher dead at the age of 61. This comes on the heels of Lance Reddick passing away also at the age of 61 recently. Sad stuff. Other sad news, Big Bang actress has come down with lung cancer despite never having smoked. Big Bang Theory star Kate Micucci reveals she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Of course, she played Lucy, the girlfriend, the bizarre girlfriend of Koothrappali on that show. She says, hey, everybody, this is not a TikTok. This is a sick talk. I'm in the hospital. It's because I had lung cancer surgery yesterday. They caught it really early. She said her diagnosis was unexpected. She said, it's really weird because I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. So, it was a surprise, but also I guess it happens. And the greatest news is they caught it early. They got it out, and I'm all good. Well, congratulations, and that's good news to hear that they caught it early. I hope that they got all of it. Listen, folks, you don't have to be a smoker. Smoking is not the only cause of your genes betraying you, of your cells attacking themselves. Cancer can be caused by a host of different reasons. Sometimes just a defect, sometimes from the sun, sometimes from exposure to radiation, sometimes from any other causes. Smoking is a serious contributor to cancer, and you can have lung cancer without smoking. You can get breast cancer as a man despite not having boobs. Cancer does not discriminate. Does not discriminate. Many different triggers for cancer. So, there you go. Smoking is just really bad. So people assuming that smoking is the only way to get it really don't understand how it works. Boy, Charles is going crazy here with the chat. Second gentleman, if you're not first, you're last. Well said. All right, let me see what's in the chat. That's the news for today, folks. And let me see what you guys got. Excuse me. Sorry, I turned that back on too soon. Right. Looks like the arsonist parliament arsonist was set up, says Erica. John Jarvis says, certainly help, but unless you have sufficient battery storage, you'll need SCOM for some of your power. Right. You're correct, John, because the sun doesn't shine at night. Unless you get yourself a concentrated solar system, which nobody can put in a residential space. There's no space for that. Yep, good news for Annette. She'll have her solar. Let me check on mine, which the clouds have come back out, so it's probably diminished since I spoke half hour ago, but let's see what's going on in that half hour. 2.83. No, it's still going. I'm up at 4 now. And it's generating 3.5 kilowatt hours of power right now. So, and the magic number for me is 17 kilowatt hours on average I burn per day. So I need to generate more than that to get positive in the grid. Well, I'm at 4 now. Yesterday at 21.8. That was pretty good. It was the biggest day of the month. Bear in mind, this is wintertime when the planet is tilted away from the sun and we don't get the direct sunlight the way we get during the summertime. So this is pretty good. Good stuff. More than I expected. All right. Reputable installer. Yes, John Jarvis offers you good advice, and that make sure you have a reputable installer. I will say that the company that did mine, Trinity Solar, seems to be quite reputable. The only problem in the entire installation was this app, which they neglected to get me access to. That app right there. Well, you can't see it very well. There you go. They neglected to get me access to that app, which was very frustrating, and it took nearly a month to get that sorted out. But now that I have the app and I can actually monitor things much better, I'm pretty content. But the panels, they did all the work. I paid not 1 cent for the installation. They got the approval from the Homeowners Association, from the township, from the utility. They proceeded. They brought the material. They installed it properly. They put in the inverter. Then the utility came out and put in the new meter reader. It replaced my original meter with one that tracks energy drawn from the grid, from the utility, and electricity put back into the grid. Another scam. Every day at this time, these people want to call me. Puts energy back in the grid. So I have one meter, but it gives 2 different readings, and it rotates between them. And then they installed it. They went and got the final inspection approval from the township and from the utility. They got approval to turn it on. It was supposed to be turned on November 1st. They met with me in mid-July before I went to South Africa. And we said October because I was going to be gone. And based on October, they said it would be ready in November. And sure enough, it was turned on. And it's been generating solar power from the sun since November 2nd. Yeah, even though it's wintertime, still getting some power. But a lot of cloudy days this month. Plenty of batteries to store. The only thing solar won't power up is the stove. Okay. 12 panels during the day. The stove happily works. It does shower the batteries at night, though. You can opt not to isolate the stove and geyser. Okay. You should have your own. You should have separate solar just for the geyser. I mean, Botswana, all the geysers have solar panels. They've had them for years. You can damage property. An assault person sells it. Yeah, I agree. It's a dimwit. Okay. Charles Van Alsten said, we did 6 weeks in the bush during counterinsurgency. Learned not to clean my rifle at night. The first 3 people in the squad all got pulled to do uppies. 42 degrees Celsius in Zara. Oh, my goodness. That's pretty hot. 8 panels going up now, but there are plans for more. Well, I've got 20 panels. That's why you don't have enough power for your stove. During the day, even here in wintertime, provided the sun is shining, my panels generate more than enough electricity to power everything in my home. Whether I turn on the vacuum, I run the mower, because in November I had to cut the grass, ran the mower, which draws a lot of power. It's an electric-based lawnmower. Run the mower, run the wash machine, run the microwave, run whatever it takes with power. During the day, even in the wintertime, I still generate enough electricity normally to feed all my electricity needs and still contribute some back into the grid. That's good. That's how the system was set up. The only thing it doesn't come with is battery storage. And frankly, I don't want batteries in my house. They're toxic. They're dangerous. They harm the environment, the production of them, and they're not particularly useful. I'm perfectly fine with my power coming from nuclear-fired or coal-fired power plants that provide power when I can't get sunlight. I prefer, not to have to rely on it at all, but that would involve me spending tens of thousands of dollars putting more panels on my roof, and that ain't going to happen. I haven't got any money. Spend it all going to South Africa and rugby. ANC ready to pay back the $150 million. What's this? Is that Amonre saying the Star saying that? A-N-C-E Zuini. Okay, let's see. No, I can't find anything that says that they've done it. Let me try to see if I can't find that story. Nope. 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 Nothing there. Sorry, can't find anything. Okay. Radine's here. Hey, Radine, how's Italy? Salve. 60s global cooling, 90s global warming. Oh, it's 1970s that they claimed that the planet was freezing, Jacques. 1970s, there were covers on Time, U.S. News and Report. The coming global freeze. The planet is cooling. Yeah, and that says, I love how you use so many languages to tell them off. Yeah, kein Problem. Die sollen mich am Arsch lecken. My understanding is the tribal areas in Burma have long been isolated and rather dependent. Oh, that's true, Light Rain. The border areas of Myanmar, Burma have always been problematic. When my grandfather was a Merle's Marauder traversing that area, one of the reasons they were successful against Japanese is the other people weren't happy with the Japanese. Okay, Carlos is here. Mike is here. Little Miss Know-It-All, welcome back. Uppies, okay, 4:30. Wow, that sucks. Okay, refugees seeking safety and tropical drinks with little umbrellas in Bora Bora. Yes, I am a refugee to, actually I think I'm going to move to the Öland Islands in Finland. I absolutely love it there. I'll learn Swedish, which is spoken there. I have no problem learning Swedish, add it to another language. Happy to live there. I love the Öland Islands. Lori Lettinen has not been here much lately. What's going on with Lori? We haven't seen him. Another one of our viewers who's just disappeared. He popped in the other day for the first time in ages. I cover Finland just because of him. So, yeah, but the Öland Islands, happy to live there. Happy to go there. Another option is I wouldn't mind living in Gotland in the Baltic. It's an island. Not thrilled with islands, but the Öland Islands are islands, bunches of them. They're all linked together with bridges and ferries, so that'd be cool. It'd be cool. I wouldn't mind living there. I'm going to be a refugee from democratic rule from the Democratic Party in the States and leftists controlling America. So let me destination shop. Yep. Load shedding is so hot, no wind, nothing. Well, that sucks. Overcast in KZN. She's an Alberton, second gentleman. Okay, I already got that. Wow, a lot of stuff jumped here. It's a great movie, Chris. Some well-known names. Yeah, absolutely. Glory was a fantastic movie. Best part, Juju's Brothers stays down the road from me. We didn't have load shedding until ESCOM took over from... Okay. Like my buddy in New Germany, until yesterday, they had not had load shedding in months. Someone connected must stay near them. Yep. Oh, that girl was rather sweet. She and Raj should have gotten together. She was wackadoodle, man. She went and hid in the bathroom. Now, lady says, and the Pogues leader has passed away. Oh, you talking about the band? Lung cancer can be caused by bacteria. Yes, it can. It can be caused by a lot of things. Exactly. Grandmother smokes like a chimney. She's in her 90s. Yeah. Well, George Burns smoked. He almost lived to be 100. Yep. Solar installers didn't damage any landscaping. They wore down the grass because they must have tromped over it about 1,000 times, half a dozen of them or more. But no, they didn't damage anything else. And the grass came back. My concern was it was already October and fall was approaching and the grass gets to a stage where it no longer grows. And I was worried it wouldn't recover. But it has recovered by and large. Yep. Thanks for the info on the app, Chris. We have so many options doing it through bond, but we chose to wait for bonus. But yeah, don't go in debt for the solar. Don't go in debt because then how are you coming out ahead? I only did the solar because it was free. Now I've got to pay a monthly fee to have it, but yeah, I only did it because my utility bill is becoming exponentially more expensive. When I moved in this house several years ago, my electric bill was averaging $70 to $90 a month. Now my electric bill averages $160 to $250 a month, and I'm using less energy. I was using 20 kilowatt hours at the time. Now I'm down to 17 because I keep the temperature low, and I keep the lights off. Most of the lights are off in the building right now, and basically the only thing that's running is the fridge, which is 30 years old. By the way, my fridge is old. But you can't get a front opening door anymore. Now they want these 2 doors. I don't want a 2-door. I don't want one with water, ice and, making martinis. I just want a damn refrigerator that fits in the refrigerator space and has a front opening door and a freezer on top. That's all I want. But finding those is almost impossible unless you want to buy Hisense. And I don't want Chinese crap. I prefer to buy American crap. Yeah. So, for me, there was a company that's the installer. That was Trinity. There is a finance company called SunNova that finances the solar installation, pays for the panels, pays for the equipment. Trinity makes all of the paperwork happen, does all the approvals, sells you on it, gets you the contract. SunNova pays for the material, plus Trinity gets money back from the subsidies from the state of Pennsylvania and tax breaks from the federal government, which result in them getting paid for it, plus all the materials paid for. So the installer gets paid, not by me. The panels don't get paid for me directly, but in essence, they're paid for because over the lease life, I pay a fee, and that pays for those panels, and that's how SunNova makes money. But the third part is SolarEdge, which is an Israeli company, provides the material. Well, they don't provide it. It's purchased by Trinity or by SunNova, and they install it. The app comes from SolarEdge, and I didn't have access to it, so it was kind of annoying. Anyway. Right. Zaris has a dry heat. Charles, I know Zaris very well. Very well. I lived in Habarone, and I've been to Zaris 1,000 times, and that's probably not much of an exaggeration. Okay, and Freelance Kate is here. Welcome, Freelance. Nick Muller is here. How you all doing? I have not heard from Ronaldo. Let me see if he's coming up there. Okay, so the reason I went early with the broadcast is because I didn't hear back from Ronaldo. Well, I usually do it Wednesdays earlier, but I hadn't heard from Ronaldo whether we're going to do a stream. We're not doing a stream today, and she just sent me a message finally because it was about time to do the Ronaldo thing. So, so we're not doing it. All right, cool. I don't know what's going on with him. I want 2 doors so bad, but hubby says I must choose between gas stove, electric oven, or fridge, so I opted for gas stove. Well, not here in America because the Biden regime and the Environmental Protection Agency will keep you from getting a gas stove. And this is what I say to them. Read between the lines. Natural gas is clean burning source of energy. Naturally emitted from the planet. And if we don't burn it, it contributes to greenhouse gases. More than burning does. It is not snowing here, Freelance. It is not snowing here at the moment. It may, very soon, but not. Americans do love propane, but propane doesn't power our homes. Propane is for grills, for barbecues. Propane is for campers. Propane is for a host of things, but propane we don't use propane tanks. A lot of Americans still use heating oil, which is quite priced in the wintertime. A heating oil is what they use to keep their homes warm. Mine is electricity. Natural gas is great. Yeah, so why is Biden so ignorant? Why are the climate zealots so ignorant? Is Courtney still here, or did he run off to deliver mail? It's why are the climate zealots so fixated on denigrating natural gas, which is abundant, clean, certainly clean when you compare the total carbon cost of solar photovoltaic or the environmental damage from hydroelectric, then it becomes quite obvious that natural gas is a good path to go. Yep. No, Biden is just ignorant, period. The guy had to steal other people's work in college to try to pass class. He's a known plagiarist. He had to steal Neil Kinnock's labor speech in the 1980s when he was running for president. He's just a thief. He's a thief. He's a plagiarist. He's a known thief. We think that's what the government here in South Africa read between the lines. Yeah, exactly. And they can read between the lines. They can read between the lines. Hey, folks, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done it. I do appreciate that support. So behind me, a little bit of Christmas stuff. Of course, we got the snowman who's there. We bring up every year. For some reason, my cameras don't look right today, no matter what I do with the lights. Then we've got a little boot over here by the on-air sign. There's the boot right there. And above that, we've got the, there he is, the moose. Christmas moose. And there's the bear that was given to me by one of my viewers, but that's not a Christmassy thing. Over here, we've got this little Christmas tree held by a polar bear. It's a Christmas thing, and a little mailbox for the mail. And then, of course, the countdown, 12 days to Christmas. And then, of course, the house up there, which is, come on, there we go. The house, which is a Christmas thing as well. So that's kind of Christmassy stuff. I'll put some more stuff up here. I bought something neat recently. I'm going to put that up probably tomorrow. And I'm going to try to start reaching out to folks and ask them, like Dr. Hammond, if they'll come on Christmas Eve for the Christmas Eve program. We'll start advertising. Suspect Ronaldo's lost interest. He pretty much streams twice a week. If we're lucky, he hasn't streamed since last Wednesday with Chris. Okay. Well, John, the other thing, too, you have to understand with Ronaldo is that he is potentially being considered for higher office, and that's probably eating up a lot of his time. Yeah, so it's all smart refrigerator that has a screen on the door that shows you the inside. It talks to you. Oh, that was wicked. Yeah, it doesn't feel like Christmas at all, Paulie. It doesn't. I haven't been in the mood for it. I mean, last year I said I wasn't in the mood, but at least I got in the mood. But this year it's just not there. I don't know. Do you know when what? No. I have no idea what that is. Never heard of it. Ready for my daily fix of Chris and some chats. Well, that would glad to hear it. Did Ronaldo not go on holidays or something like that? No, he's not. He's just not available. He said we might do a stream on Sunday. He didn't ask me if I was available on Sunday. I've got rugby on Sunday, so I may not be available for Ronaldo. So we'll see. But yeah, Ronaldo is a busy guy. So look, it's interesting. It is interesting, YouTube, people come and go. I haven't gone. I'm still here. And with the exception when I have consulting work to do or when I'm traveling, and even when I'm traveling, I still try to bring you content. I bring you content 7 days a week, even when I'm sick. I do my best to bring you content for my audience. And that's not boasting about me. That's not saying how great, wonderful I am. It's not. It's just a statement of fact. But it is interesting that so many other people come and go. Is Odez still broadcasting? I haven't heard from that guy in ages. Is the Wackadoodle Down Under still broadcasting? I haven't heard from that guy in ages. Who's the guy who was the energy expert, the American energy expert, K.W. Miller, that everybody was all stoked and excited about a few months ago? And where is he broadcasting? I haven't heard from him anymore. Look, these aren't darts. I'm not accusing about anything. I'm not saying anything derogatory about any of these people, but they even bother anymore. The Conscious Caracal is consistent. He does a weekly show every Tuesday. He still does that. Big Daddy Liberty's not broadcasting right now because he's got other fish to fry. He's not doing that. I haven't seen a whole bunch of South African content creators. Joe Emilio is still doing some things, but I don't see his content. It doesn't come to me. I have to go looking for it. But I don't see many South African. Now, we've got some new people on the block, like that Citizen Concerned, who people keep asking me to interact with. But if you want me to interact with her, you're going to need to go to her channel and start dropping my name and asking her to come on my program, because I sent her an email 2 weeks ago and have not heard from her. Not heard from her at all. So, yeah. Okay, so Odez does broadcast. I don't know. I haven't heard from him. I had a subscription to his channel, but I never get fed this stuff. Even the shops. And Vinance is still broadcasting. So, yep. Yeah, even the shops and centers aren't Christmassy. Yeah, it is weird. My son put the Christmas tree up this room because I don't want it up. My only depressed me because Christmas means 90 days to end of January. Oh. Yeah, no, Charles. People ask me to go on there. I watch her content. She's interesting. What I found interesting is that several people write me and say, Chris, have you checked this person out? She does her research and she knows what she's talking about. I'm like, okay, thanks, but I do too. Not that you're implying that I don't do research. And yeah, look, she's got good content, but she's not being shadow banned now. But apparently the EFF is trying to say she used to be a prostitute. So that's what I heard. If she was, so what? Well, I wouldn't care. More power to her. But I doubt that's the case. It sounds like they're just evil people who are misogynist and attacking her. 5.26 kilowatt hours. Keeps going up. Keeps going up. That's good. Keep going up. Big Daddy Liberty stream set for 7:30. Well, that's the first time in donkey years he's done one. He hasn't done one in ages, so. Hey, Brett Sesam's here. Speaking of someone who's been scarce, Brett must be working really hard. We haven't seen him in ages. Mrs. Zulu is a legitimate ruler. I'm usually not a fan of Ramaphosa, but I believe Ramaphosa had it right. No, Ramaphosa broke the law, Brett. He broke the law. He didn't get it right. He broke the law. If he wants to follow the law, then he can get the support. But his appeal has no basis in law. He was directed to follow the law, and he should follow the law. But instead, his answer is to appeal it. That doesn't mean that Mrs. Zulu is not legitimate or will be the king. It just means that you cannot break the law and circumvent it for your personal convenience. Simple as that. Off work today. Hey, Leilu. Good to see you there. Well, enough. Still broke. Waiting for my big jackpot win. Yeah, Charles, I need a big jackpot too. Morning Shot doing an interview with her on the 21st. Well, I wrote to her. I'm sure I wrote to her before Morning Shot, and she is not coming on for me. So, whatever. Look, sometimes it gets very frustrating for me, folks, because I'm in the U.S. Some of these people just blow me off completely. They don't come on. It's very frustrating. And I identify things of interest before many people do. And sometimes getting people in South Africa to come on is really difficult. What's this? Who is this? Somebody wrote me a message. Let's see who this is. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool beans. I'm concerned about where she dresses. Yeah, I haven't seen it, Charles. I don't watch her content regularly. I've just seen it, found it interesting. I think that, she'd be great for the K-NACO program to have her come on there or just do a segment with her. Hey, Helen, how's it going? Wow, Helen, we haven't seen you in a while either. Good to see you there. EFF claim rugby comes from these. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, it's very, very, isn't that misogynist to attack a woman for being a prostitute? What's wrong with being a prostitute? I mean, it violates someone's morality, but unless it violates the law, what's their issue? What's their issue? When we chat, there will be signs. Well, thank you, Charles. Yeah, that'd be great. I wrote to her. So no, there's no Ronaldo stream tonight. Ronaldo's not available. That's why we're still going here. I started early because of that, but it turns out he's not available. Garrett reached out to me to get concerned citizen, but she's way below your IQ. Don't know if she knows the difference between tritium, deuterium, and tritium. Hey, Chalco, wow, long time. Look, I don't know her from Adam. I've seen her videos, and they're pretty good. I'd love to have a conversation with her. EFF and ANC supporters regularly chastise her videos because she always says, do not trust the comrades. Well, I say the same thing, and they just ignore me because I'm effectively shadow banned or left out of the search options. Earlier I did a search option for Answer the Question, which is my segment. There's not another segment on YouTube anywhere that's known as that. Now, I haven't done the question since last year because Rob Hutchinson went walkabout on me. But the Answer the Question segment is mine. I did a search for it on YouTube. I don't even show up at all. At all. In fact, I'll show you. Let's do this. Show you just how effective this shadow banning garbage is. YouTube. Let's go to YouTube. We'll do YouTube search. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you this. Here's the window. Okay. So we'll put in there, answer the question. Watch. YouTube's probably listening now. They'll show me. Answer the question. All right. That's my segment. Okay. We've got Mock the Week. We've got a bunch of shorts. We've got some Amanda the Adventurer, general knowledge, answer the question, the answer to the question. There we go. Even Dr. John Campbell is on there. A man who got away with telling the truth about COVID the entire time and never got censored. I don't know how that happened. You see this? Oh, there we go. There we go. It shows my channel, but I'm not talking about answer the question. Look at that. That's because I have a subscription to my channel. There's Vinant on there. These are things for me. There's nothing here recommending answer the question. That's my segment. Now, if I do Chris Wyatt answer the question, let's try that. Now let's see what we get. Now we get it. See that? But that shouldn't be the case. Look at that. They should have just shown up automatically, but it doesn't. Yeah, that's YouTube. Anyway, so lucky her. Lucky her. She's not shadow banned. Neither is Big Daddy Liberty. Yep, he's not shadow banned. And neither is Morning Shot. None of them are shadow banned. Well, yeah, Charles, they can paintbrush me as racist, but that's because they are racist. But the problem is my arguments, just tear them apart. Last night on Twitter, some idiots posted some nonsense and used the term genocide inappropriately. And I wrote back and said, that's not correct. And they had ad hominem attacks. So I responded and said, your ad hominem attacks don't change the facts. You clearly don't know international law, the Geneva Conventions, or the Conventions on Genocide. You don't know that. And you need to learn it. before you make such a claim. There are over 3 million Palestinians and Arabs living in Judea and in Israel proper, none of whom are currently being attacked or targeted. None of them are being exterminated, which is what genocide is all about. There are specific elements of the crime of genocide. They're claiming war crimes. Well, not one person has proven evidence of an Israeli war crime. Bombing a hospital is not a war crime. It can be, and in most instances is. However, the intentional shelling of a hospital in response to the illegitimate war crime of using a hospital as a military base of operations negates the war crime. The intentional targeting of civilians is a war crime, but there's no evidence of that. Civilians are being targeted because they're put in harm's way by Hamas. It's not a war crime. It's tragic, it's sad, it's horrible, and I wish it would stop. But the guy just started calling me names. Then he writes and says, F you. I'm like, oh, wow, you wash your mouth out much? And that came across me through the rugby. Well, the Rugby World Cup, I actually got through the shadow banning for some reason. I think it was because my IP addresses were in France and I was covering the World Cup. And suddenly my videos started showing up and people came here. I gained 3,000 subscribers, not during the World Cup, but 500 during when NOS was on, before NOS disappeared on me. And then the other 2,500 on my own merit, all the videos I did afterwards, which are some huge videos. I had a lot of videos over 30, 40,000 views, which are not huge compared to how this channel originally was, the original version of it, but still pretty big for the way things are now. 27% of my views in the 2.5 years since this channel has been created to replace the original one, which was censored and then was later restored 2 years later. 27% of my views came in that 6-week period. A lot of views. We were heady days. I thought we were getting somewhere. But when I talk about the news and I talk about the things that matter to people, YouTube doesn't let people see it. You don't get notified. So, no, but I'm glad you found me that way. And thanks for sharing it, Ed, because I'm trying to find all the time interesting topics to talk about. But people don't tune in for the URC news. They don't tune in for news about officials like Wayne Barnes. They only tune in for Ireland, South Africa, the Springboks, or the All Blacks if I do something about that. And there really isn't much to talk about right now. So Chalk has a serious question about what it means for the private healthcare system in South Africa to be signed, brilliant president. No, I haven't covered it today. It's a fair question, Chalco. My understanding of the National Health Insurance Bill is it's going to do something akin to what's happened here, but it's going to be more overarching than our scam that we have here called the Affordable Care Act, which distorts insurance. And I told you that earlier. I went through it. $70 is the bill for 5 minutes, of which my insurance company pays $5. I have to pay 90% of the bill. That's my copay. What is that? Now, to be fair, if the bill had been $1,000, my copay would still been $36. It wouldn't have changed. But speaking of which, I got to pay my insurance bill for that damn thing by January 1st, or I lose my health insurance. 36 and a half years in the Army, I'm supposed to have free health care. But if I don't pay them $800 by January 1st, I have no health care. What a scam. What a scam. The only between Israel and South Africa during the apartheid era, saving Israel, apartheid is very misleading. No, well, there is no apartheid in Israel. It's a lie. It's a lie. Separate development is not what Israel is going for. Arabs participate in all aspects of Israeli society and are citizens. And we see thousands of them going on TikTok and social media saying, this is nonsense. I am an Arab Israeli citizen. Here's my passport. I'm a practicing attorney. I'm a teacher. I'm a doctor. I'm in the IDF. I practice my faith of Islam. I practice my faith as a Christian or as Druze without any interference from Israeli authorities. The list goes on and on and on. They just lie about stuff all the time. And because it suits the narrative of racist, bigots, and leftist hate wankers. No, Garrett, Nas and I were brilliant. I think those conversations were absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it's a shame. Layla, sorry YouTube is crashing. Heard that 98% of the jobs created in South Africa was made here in Cape Town. I think that's a bit of exaggeration, Acid Zill, but the number is quite high. Western Cape has created a majority of those jobs in South Africa. Yeah, exactly what I mean, Chris. They're Arabs, Druze, Jews. Yeah, exactly, Charles. I've been saying that all along, and I was censored for that. 2 years ago on this channel, right after I started, I did a video for the EFF demonstrating outside the Israeli embassy in Hatfield, and it was removed for misinformation. Well, thank you, Brett. $4.99. I think the UK has a rich history. Sad that so many Brits are ashamed of their country and Union Jack nowadays. Well, it's a shame that people are ashamed of the American flag. People are ashamed of the history of South Africa. Don't be. Did you do it? Don't be ashamed of it. You can feel empathy for the people who came before you. I mean, look at the Salem witch trials. What a disgusting event that happened here in the United States. A bunch of little girls seeking attention, kind of like, if they'd had WhatsApp back then, or if they'd had, Instagram, or they'd had Facebook, imagine the damage they could have done then. But these little girls wailing and screaming, "Oh, Goody Proctor attacked me. Her spirit came and attacked me." And people believe this crap. And they actually convicted innocent people and hung them, murdered them. The government murdered American citizens. Well, they weren't Americans then. They were British crown citizens, but they murdered subjects of the crown because of their fear of witchcraft. Wow. Brett says, Israeli Arabs can vote, serve in Knesset. Yes, and I got a video removed because there was no Hamas war then. Now they're being a little more generous on YouTube when you report the truth. Everything I said in that video was demonstrably provable by fact. That video is still blocked on YouTube 2 years later. I appealed it and they told me to get stuffed. I got a warning for it. So, yeah. Didn't Jews worldwide play a role in ending apartheid in South Africa? Yes, they did play a role. Yep. But Israel also played a role in facilitating South Africa's nuclear capability and its nuclear bombs. So, yeah, and circumventing the sanctions. So people don't forgive Israel for that. What's this there? Rugby, I am there. Wherever there is rugby, I am. However, I'm on another Afrikaans channel with the rugby. Sorry. Megaphone is a good Afrikaans broadcast. I don't know that, Annette. I don't know that. Yeah, no, but I mean, Annette, but you're not showing up for are you coming to my Rugby Ascendant play-by-play and color commentary? I don't recall seeing you there. I do that Rugby Ascendant. Brett has given another super chat. I read that, but I didn't realize it was a super chat. Thank you for the $5, Brett. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Brett. Appreciate it. Salty Cracks December. It's shocking. Usually people are more generous in December, but I guess I have the great fortune of having an audience that's poor. Or they don't like the content. Yeah, I think a lot of people are just suffering. So what is the situation with ISIS in Nigeria? Well, there is no ISIS in Nigeria as such. There is Boko Haram. People claim ties to ISIS, but there's no ISIS. ISIS has been destroyed. There are remnants of it still floating around Syria, and that's, of course, probably the reason that this clown left Homs and went through 4 countries to get to Finland, and The Guardian wants us to have sympathy for this criminal alien invader who has no business there. Go back to Russia. Yeah, no, there's no ISIS. It's like Mozambique. Someone claimed that they were ISIS. They're not ISIS. They're claiming ties to ISIS that don't exist for attention and hoping they get attention. The ghouls in Cabo Delgado were simply bloodthirsty brigands, rebels, renegades, thieves, murderers, kidnappers who used religion as an excuse to pretend that they were a terror group. They were committing terror, but they weren't a terror group as such. No reason to apologize in that, but you should check it out and see me, especially when we have test matches. But right now we have the Challenge and Champions Cup. And I cover all those games on Rugby Ascendant. I'm trying to get more subscribers over there. It's quite a challenge. This past weekend for my games, I had larger audiences than Forever Sports, which has 50,000 subscribers now. They're really outpacing me. Channel's doing well. Congratulations to Forever Sports. But I heard from one of my viewers that Forever Sports censored him because he challenged a guy about some question of rugby. That's interesting. I wasn't there, so I don't know the facts. Just heard it secondhand. Load shedding at 8, says Charles. Okay. John Jarvis says, try talking to older people. You mean those racists who voted for Brexit because they don't like brown people? That's what we were told. What a bunch of nonsense that is. What a bunch of nonsense that is. What a bunch of nonsense. Brexit was overdue. The UK never should have joined the European Union when it decided to go from an economic agreement to a political body. Europeans have surrendered their sovereignty. Look at the arrogance of Brussels in sanctioning Hungary because Hungary simply wanted to protect its borders. Now, European countries are screaming to protect their borders, but they're not sanctioning themselves. France, Germany. Yep. But they went after Hungary. So that man with the beard on Rugby Ascendant actually got me to understand and follow rugby at my advanced age, says Leovin. Hey, Leovin, how you doing? How you doing there? Is George Steinberg here? Somebody says hi to George. I didn't see that. Yeah. Hey, Helen. Okay. Yeah. So look, it's folks, the world is complicated and a lot of people try to oversimplify it and underexplain things. Yes, Cabo Delgado was bad. They were dismembering black Africans. No discussion of that. Was that racist? It was done by the black Africans. They're murdering people, chopping them up in wheelie bins and rolling them around. They also attacked a bar where a bunch of bikers foolishly went inside and then they lit it on fire and then murdered them as they came out. Pretty sick stuff. Forever Sports is boring. Can't stand his voice, isn't it? Well, apparently they get a lot of people watching it. Let me see how many subscribers they've got now. YouTube. Let's see. So it's interesting because I'm not aware, I could be wrong, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not aware that they ever covered the sevens before. I covered the sevens religiously until this year when World Rugby destroyed the whole concept and their website is atrocious. The format makes no sense. They've commingled men and women in a way that makes no sense whatsoever. I don't have a problem with women doing sevens, and I've covered the women in sevens before, but this is just ridiculous. Where's Forever Sports? Forever Sports Rugby. Okay, let's see what comes up there. Forever Sports. They got 66,000 subscribers now. Wow. So, I mean, look, the power of subscriber base really makes a difference. They did the quarterfinal commentary on South Africa versus Australia, 1,300 views. When I did sevens quarterfinals, or I did sevens when the South Africa's in the final, I get like 40 people watch it on Rugby Ascendant. So depressing. Yeah. They have 66,500 subscribers. Wow. Springboks win the World Cup review. 19,000 views from a month ago. And these guys use World Cup imagery. They show footage and they don't get any strikes. But I get strikes for a thumbnail from World Rugby. It's unbelievable. Yes, there's rugby on the weekend, Garrett. Lots of it. We've got, I've covered the games already. We've got the Stormers at home playing against La Rochelle. That's going to be a big one. I'll be covering that one. Very excited about that game. I'm going to pray the Stormers get their act together this time. The Bulls are on the road against Lyon in France, where I just spent a lot of time in Lyon. I spent time there in a place that really sucked the lodging, and where I mashed my head against the damn window frame. That hurt like hell. Bled profusely. Yeah, Lyon, and the traffic was horrendous too. Plus the cops blocked all the roads. You couldn't get back on the highway. It took me an hour and a half to get back for a 20-minute drive. Lyon, but Lyon was beautiful. I had a good time there, and I was recognized again at Lyon. I didn't expect that. I march up to the cathedral and climb up the hill. I didn't realize there was a one of those not cable cars, but those little rail cars that go up the hill there. I didn't know that was there, and because I was coming from a different angle, walked up there trying to get there, climbed a lot of steps. It was a heck of a hike. Got a huge blister on my foot as a consequence because feet slide in the shoes. Didn't even know that at the time. Finally got to the top, and I got up there and I got recognized by people. They recognized me from Rugby Ascendant, which was pretty cool. Union Jack's very low on my agenda for all evil deeds during concentration camps. Yeah, the concentration camp, pretty bad stuff. Cheetahs versus Sharks. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I'll be covering that too, Annette. You should check it out. Rugby Ascendant. Is Hendo here? Why are they coming? The beach and ocean are in a terrible state. I assume they're going up and down the coast rather than here. Forever Sports had a press pass for the World Cup. Did they really? I didn't bother to apply for one because World Rugby is corrupt. I have press credentials for the Bulls. I have press credentials for Major League Rugby, for New York. They don't exist anymore. For DC, for Houston, for Dallas, for Atlanta, for Chicago, all those franchises. I requested press credentials for the Sevens World Cup, and I did it well before the deadline. The deadline came and went. I didn't hear from them. I wrote to them. They ignored me. I wrote to them again. They ignored me. And finally, they wrote to me and said, oh, it's too late. We don't have any slots, which was total lie. I was at the Sevens World Cup. I've already bought my tickets anyway, so it wasn't like I was trying to get in for free. And the media section was normally 80% empty. That entire section on the west side of the DHL Greenpoint Stadium, most of the weekend was 80% empty. And even in the final, it wasn't full. It was only about half full. What a scam World Rugby is. They gave Forever Sports a press pass, but they refused me one. Now they're pieces of crap. World Rugby. The problem, I guess, is is that maybe Forever Sports doesn't call World Rugby out for its failures and its shortcomings. I do. I'm not going to hide from the fact that World Rugby has done a disastrous job with how they deal with complaints about officiating. They simply ignore it, and they form a logger, and they ignore, and they just fight back, and they protect corrupt officials who get things wrong. Or not corrupt, but incompetent, I should say. If officials get it wrong, they need to be schooled properly. I mean, they have this whole thing where they force players who get a red card to go through tackle school. Why can't they send officials back to rugby school? Major League Rugby dramatically improved the quality of its officiating from an abysmal level when it started because of inexperienced officials to where they brought in Jonathan Kaplan and another official, and they trained them over and over again, and they got better and better and better. And as a consequence, the officiating has improved dramatically in Major League Rugby. The same thing should be happening in international tests. The same thing should be happening to World Rugby's officials around the planet. Yep. But they don't like that. So I don't know if that's why I've been attacked, and I don't know if it's even World Rugby, but I've had strikes declared against my content that I filmed. Meanwhile, Forever Sports actually, and these other channels actually show games. There's a channel that has 5,400 subscribers, and it showed the entire URC game a few weeks ago. They didn't get a strike. They're still up. It's very annoying. Paul Storm says, I watch soccer and rugby highlights if it shows up on my phone. I like listening to overseas commentary in my ears while I do something else. I miss Chris Swanepoel. Why do you miss Chris Swanepoel? Chris Swanepoel is here. Different Chris Swanepoel? Well, Paul, then you probably don't see my stuff because it doesn't get promoted. Yep. Stephen does have that because he is only allowed in South Africa post-match conference. I don't understand what you mean, Annette. What do you mean only allowed post-conference? I don't understand what that means. Can you explain that to me? Yeah, also, I see that Forever Sports is always airing the entire press conference. I mean, I guess he's got approval. I don't have that, which kind of sucks. I wish I had that. Oh, the rugby commentator Chris Swanepoel. I don't think I know him. I've seen Chris Swanepoel that writes about rugby, but not talks. Okay, Paul. So you do watch my stuff. Cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you got access to it. I don't trust YouTube. Oh, we're up to 6.88 kilowatt hours, slowing down a little bit there. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to set those up. Wednesday's my busy day. I've got the radio tonight. Normally do Ronaldo right now, but we're not doing Ronaldo, so that's why I've gone a little bit longer on this one. Yeah, no, Paulie, I agree, and in fact, that's the case. So I think there's a couple things in play here, Paulie, when I do the phone. Number one, it's a different IP address. It rotates on the phone, depending which IP address is available. It's a rotating one, and I do it in different locations. I do a lot of them outside my house right here. So that's why I started doing them outside, even though it's below freezing and I'm sitting out there freezing my nads off at times or in the rain on the porch, but it's damp and wet. I do that because I do it on my phone and I realize that it overcomes the shadow banning a bit. But the other reason I think it happens is that when I'm doing it on my phone, I'm doing short form. So almost all of those streams I do on my mobile phone are topic specific. They're not news like this. This doesn't draw a big crowd. I mean, pretty good. We had 60 people right now, but we're not talking 600. So there's issue specific and they're short form. That's my term for it. I call them short form. Short form live streams. Those live streams don't go over 30 minutes. They're usually 5 to 30 minutes. Most of them run about 10 to 15 minutes. And I think that is, I've got a VPN, Charles, but VPNs are not particularly effective. I've used VPNs and it didn't make a difference. But the mobile phone does make a difference. For all I know, friggin' YouTube's probably stuck a cookie or something on my computer that I'm unaware of that tips them off. Maybe malware, for all I know. Topic specific off your phone is now getting regularly more than 5,000. Old days would have been. Yes, Paulie, you're spot on. In the old days, before YouTube started targeting me, when I went from 2 to 23,000 subscribers, that would have been 100,000 views, and I'd have hundreds of thousands of subscribers by now. Statement of fact. But the hate wankers and leftists and right wingers who attack me use the size of my channel as a means to attack me. Oh, you're a pathetic little channel. He has 10,000 subscribers. Really? Well, that's interesting. That may be true, but that's not actually how many people are watching the program. You can't rely on those numbers. I mean, it's simply untrue. We know this because everywhere I go in South Africa, I'm recognized everywhere. But what is interesting to me is that a lot of people are discovering me for the first time in South Africa because of the rugby recently, like Annette, which is pretty cool. And again, I would love to do more rugby, but I'll tell you, on the Rugby Ascendant, because the channel's so small, 4,000 subscribers, and people come there mainly for my color commentary and play-by-play, they don't watch my interviews. That's why whenever I do an interview with somebody in the rugby world, it usually appears here first, or I do it live on this channel because I get a much bigger audience, and then I load it up on Rugby Ascendant. So it's frustrating. Yep. So yeah, that topic-specific stuff definitely does help. But yeah, if we look at that, not all of them are going great, but some of them are. Let me look. So topic-specific ones, yesterday's Hunger in Africa didn't get much attention. That's 285. But the one before that, Malema's Wine EFF, that was 23 minutes. That one gets 20. That's for renaming monuments or removing monuments in Nelson Mandela Bay. That got 2,100. My ANC liquidation one, which is 17 minutes, got 8,100. Whereas all the ones before that, which were long form, got 500 views. And then the one before that, the sheriff seizing ANC's property, was 1,700. And Beckett Sealy got 2,000. Yeah, so yeah, they're doing better. Those do 5 and 6 times or more than my other live streams. So yeah, that's a statement of fact. Yep. The targeting white South Africans, that one got 12,000 views. Yep. So yeah, it's I'll keep using it, but it's just very frustrating, this platform, 13,752. I'm very grateful for all those subscriptions, but where are the 23,000 I had before? I know a lot of people aren't on YouTube anymore, and some of those people passed away, but come on, man. The rugby commentator, Chris Wyatt. Okay, I already got that. Okay. And that says, het. Waarom vindt het goede C-span gestuur voor Leinster en Sabiki pak gij maar daarom mooi rugby gespeeld. Okay. If you say so, Annette. That's good stuff. Anyway, all right, folks. I want to wrap it up here. Wednesday's the busy day. I'll be back on tomorrow, and then we've got rugby this weekend on Rugby Ascendant. I'll be doing that, and possibly be appearing on Sunday with Ronaldo. Depends on what's going on with him. I don't know the story. I'm looking for another topic for my next State Secrets for Twitter, although the last one didn't do particularly well, so it didn't really inspire me to do more. For those who don't know, I also published an article on Substack. Some of you may have missed that, but on Substack, let me go find that real quick. Substack, okay. It was weird. It wouldn't let me sign in properly yesterday. Now I'm signed back in. So, where is my channel? Writer dashboard. That's what I want. Okay. There's a Substack app now. Interesting. Okay. So I've had 47 views on it. Not a lot, but how do I get the link to it? This is annoying. Okay. There we go. Come on, there should be a link here. Share post. Maybe that's it. Okay, there we go. All right. Copy link. Finally got to it. So for those who don't know, this is my Substack article. If you want to go check it out. And it's free. I don't charge people for Substack right now because I don't do enough on there. I started publishing it last year. I didn't realize it's been a year since I published on it. So I wrote an op-ed, which I kind of read part of it on here the other day, a few weeks or two ago. It says, the lunatics are running the asylum. And that's about political discourse in America. So Brett has just given another super chat. Wow. Paulie read it this morning. I knew you would, Paulie. And I wrote to the Washington Times and never heard back from them, so screw it. I published it. It was a rather long one, so I'm not surprised they wouldn't publish it, but a little disappointed they didn't have the courtesy to write back to me. So, your bees are wishing you, well, the bees are pretty cool. They didn't sting me. They got you, though, Garrett. Brett, thank you for it. Apartheid was wrong, and what's going on now is wrong. We have to come to terms with both statements. Also, UK did well in World War II, so did South Africa. Yeah, that's true, Brett. Fair statement. Yeah. So, but allowing people to run around and misuse the term genocide is very harmful. Thank you for the super chat, Brett. It's very harmful. Brett has single-handedly got $15 my way, $14.97 in the stream. Thank you. Sorry for all the wars before my time. 80s, baby. Sorry, guys. Well, I'm an 80s person too there, Annette. Those wars were not before your time. They were occurring during your time too. And I participated in some of them. Except for surrender to Tobruk, South Africans did very well in World War II. Yeah. Well, Tobruk was not good for the Allies in many respects. But up to 7 kilowatt hours now. Keep going. I'm over 4 kilowatt hours per hour now. So the sun is making a big difference today. Let's see if we can top yesterday's 21.8 kilowatt hours. That would be awesome. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here, folks. And I need to set up streams for this weekend for the Challenge and Champions Cup. By the way, if you're not in the Super Brew, you're welcome to join us in the Super Brew Rugby Ascendant Super Brew pool, where I got the wooden spoon in the Challenge Cup, and I think Nick got it in the Champions Cup. Stormers sent their C team Leinster and got a hiding, but at least they played attractive rugby. Yeah, the Stormers went to Leicester, not Leinster, Charles. I think you meant to say Leicester. But they were stupid and arrogant and assumed that they would win the scrum, and it cost them the game. It was very foolish. And then it got even worse. Not only did it cost them the game, but they should have gotten a bonus point for finishing within 7 points. But not only that, but they wound up giving up stupid penalties and wound up going all the way down and giving up a try. And they gave Leicester, or not Leicester, now you got me saying Leicester a bonus point for the 4th try. So Leicester got 4 points for victory and a 5th point for the bonus point, which they shouldn't have got. They should have got 4 points for the victory. And South Africa Stormers should have gotten a point for the 7-point loss. Less than 7 points. They're down by 5. So that means that's a 6-point swing. They're 6 points behind Leicester now, which is stupid. A game they should have won. They should have won the game and had been 4 points up in Leicester. So it's a 10-point swing. Instead of being 4 points ahead of Leicester in the standings, they're 6 points behind. That's a total disaster. I don't care how exciting the rugby was. It's a total disaster. Total disaster. Charles says, thanks to the podcast, very entertaining. Everybody's taking off there. All right, so good night. All right, and that's it, folks. Take care. 2 hours. Be safe tonight. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully catch you with the rugby this weekend as well. Cheers.